Good afternoon, everybody. Happy 4th of July, America. I hope everyone is going to have a very relaxing and enjoyable 4th of July today with this sunny weather. And I am totally excited to review this type of series for y'all for the 4th of July. And normally I would do a movie, but this is a mini series that I really want to talk about because it is a TV show or a mini series that does involve the American troops and the amount of patriotism that they have during World War II. And you might know it as the name of Band of Brothers. Let's do this, guys! Band of Brothers is a 2001 HBO miniseries that focuses on the 101st Airborne and Easy Company during the era of World War II, and it takes place in the years of 1944 and 1945, and it also takes place around the time of D-Day, when the Allies were planning to liberate France from Nazi Germany. And the show basically stars a lot of people: Damian Lewis, Donnie Wahlberg, Michael Cuditz, a lot of people, and a lot of past veterans and soldiers that were shown in the show. So like I said, this is an HBO miniseries that has 10 episodes or 10 parts, and it really does focus on what the American soldiers went through during World War II in Europe. And the cool thing is that this is a show that was developed by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg 3 years after Saving Private Ryan back in 1998. So this was basically the obsession of World War II from them, and they wanted to make a show that was dedicated to the veterans who liberated parts of Europe away from Nazi Germany and what they did in their military operations, and it's such a great show. And when I mean great, I actually mean fantastic, because Band of Brothers is such a phenomenal and fantastic show that depicts World War II in a very horrific and realistic way since Saving Private Ryan back in 1998, because this is one of HBO's biggest miniseries that has ever aired. Even if this miniseries has aired 18 years ago, back in 2001, it really still holds up. And when you watch it, it feels like this miniseries has aired probably today in 2019. That is how big this production is. And what makes it even grand is because of how much preparation that these producers and these actors had to do in getting their history right, getting the facts, having the actors get a lot of military training, and making sure that they were having the mindset of how a soldier would be on battlefield. And that's what the show does. It really does show like what a soldier went through during times of conflict in Europe back in the Second World War in the 1940s. Normally it would take me a while to critique each and every 10 episode from Band of Brothers, but I'm just critiquing the show as a whole because the entire show, almost every single episode that has aired of Band of Brothers, is just awesome. But as a whole, Band of Brothers just does something right of what miniseries that focus on war do, and is that it takes real-life characters and it portrays them in ways of how they probably reacted to these type of conflicts from their own words, and from how it's translated into a mini-series. And if they tried to do it in film, it would probably take several years to do it, but through a mini-series and through each and every hour that you watch an episode, you're able to get into the mindset of these soldiers and even these historical figures that actually served and led these troops into combat. What Band of Brothers is really known for are its depictions of the battle scenes during World War II, and Band of Brothers does a fantastic job of capturing the real intensity and horrors of war, because when you watch the miniseries, you're watching a ton of battle scenes, and the battle scenes are brutal, they're graphic, they really do depict and represent the true horrors of what people went through during the times of conflict and what they had to do when they were being under attack. And whenever you were in those type of situations, it was never easy to escape, and you really had to like put yourself on the line and even save your buddies in combat. And that's what the show does. And although like it does it in a very glorious way, it's also in a very frightening way, and you just couldn't believe about what these people went through during those times.
Phase 1 yellow, +1, strike 3, fire concentration Charlie, drop 200, left 100. Smokey, the window, let's go.
And while the battle scenes are very intense and very realistically portrayed, the thing that I love the most about Band of Brothers are the actors and the veterans that they portray in history. My favorite being Damian Lewis as Major Dick Winters, because Damian Lewis owns the role. Like, whenever you see Damian Lewis, you automatically think Major Dick Winters. And sure, he's in other shows like Billions and Homeland, but Band of Brothers is that type of miniseries, or it's the miniseries that skyrocketed the career of Damian Lewis. And when you see him on screen, he's very likable. He's able to lead his troops filled with pride and protection, and the way that he takes care of everybody, the way he leads them. And it's basically what a major or a general would be portrayed as in war.
Look for silhouettes on the horizon! Find your target! Puzzle Picante! Get your men in order! Stay low! Pour it out and Picante! To your left! Keep going!
Also, before each and every episode of Band of Brothers, there is an introduction told by a veteran or several veterans about their experiences during World War II. And usually after the opening credits show, they would introduce a veteran that was serving in the military, and they would describe their events about how they felt about something, or probably what was going in their mind during paratrooping or during a battle. And usually when they talk about their thoughts and feelings during that time, you're really able to dig into what really happened. And since they were the witnesses of those specific events, it also foreshadows about what's going to happen to the episode that it's going to portray in history.
Ready to jump. So when the plane started to get hit, and suddenly the pilot gives me the green light, I'm out the door immediately.
Got such an opening blast from the opening shot from the prop blast that it broke this chin strap that we had on this helmet liner, and that's when I lost this famous leg bag.
My YouTube review of Band of Brothers isn't really dedicated to historical accuracy, but there is a great video about the history of Band of Brothers, and it's made by a YouTube channel called History Bus. I will put the link on the description down below because it is a great video talking about the history of Easy Company, the 101st Airborne Division, and the events that led up to World War II. But from my own personal research of Band of Brothers, it does 80% right in its historical accuracy, and there are a few minor flaws with its historical accuracy in Band of Brothers. An example I can think of is one of the episodes where they talk about this soldier named Private Albert Blythe. He is a soldier from Philadelphia, and he did suffer from historical blindness from time to time. And basically the end credits of one of the episodes of Private Blythe said that when he was shot by a sniper, he died with his wounds in 1948. But actually, within real history, Private Blythe actually passed away in 1967 due to this sickness. So that's just one example I can give of historical inaccuracy of Band of Brothers, but that's just, a minor nitpick on its accuracy. But nevertheless, Band of Brothers is truly a fantastic miniseries. It's actually one of HBO's best miniseries ever, as it won a lot in the Golden Globe Awards and the Emmys, because this show does a great job of depicting American patriotism during World War II and what was going on with the soldiers as they were on the European battlefield. And you can also see the brotherhood that they formed and how they tried to help each other. And it's very well represented by these actors that were able to depict, or they were able to portray these historical figures that volunteered, got hurt, lost their lives. And you're able to see, the amount of sacrifice that they did in their service during World War II and how they were willing to defend the nation in times of conflict. And that is why Band of Brothers is such a phenomenal and mind-blowing miniseries by HBO. And each and every episode of Band of Brothers absolutely deserves a 10 out of 10. is my 4th of July review. I hope everyone has a fantastic and fun 4th of July. I hope everyone gets to see the fireworks, and you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the new subscribers, the support, and I had a great time making this video of Band of Brothers, and it was also very enjoyable rewatching all 10 of these episodes for me to talk about my thoughts, my current thoughts of Band of Brothers. So happy 4th of July, everybody, and thank you so much!